Hello, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your perspective on the world. And welcome. My name is Brandon Wendell. I'm a chartered market technician, and I'm going to go over some analysis on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty indexes for India. So we'll start off here with the Nifty on the weekly chart. You can see that we are in a downtrend currently, about to officially break below 40, which will definitely put us in. But we have lower highs, lower lows as of 2 weeks ago. So we are definitely in a bearish trend right now. And our nearest demand zone, it looks as though we've got pretty much this area right here coming up at 15,923, 15,513 as one of the possible bouncing points. But I don't know if that's going to stop us from our decline or just be a little pause before we continue to push even lower. If we do continue to push downwards, we do have another area of demand below that, and this will be our next target right around the 14,928, 14,416, and that would be our basically our little bit of a bottoming out there. So we'll see what happens. But dropping down into the daily time frame, see if we can fine tune this at all. Again, lots of weakness. I don't have any really good supply zones to be able to enter in any shorts, so you just got to look for new opportunities that might come out. We have a little bit of divergence going on right now. What I mean by that is prices actually made a lower low, but we did not do the same with the indicator. So we lost a little bit of momentum. That could lead to a small bounce, but I wouldn't get too excited. I don't think it's going to go up very far. Just a little bit of a bounce before we continue our downward move yet again. And perhaps we go into smaller time frames, we'll figure out where that's going to pause. But overall, still extremely bearish. You might be able to fine tune the demand on this lower time frame slightly, but it really doesn't make much of a change. So we still have about 15,800 down to 15,513. Moving down to the 4 hour time frame, see if we can get any entry spots for shorting. And not really. Again, it's very, very choppy through this area. So be patient and wait for the right entry points. I just don't see anything jumping out at me other than, again, we've got a little bit of divergence here, suggesting we might get a slight pullback after this big drop that we recently had. Actually, let me go back to the daily. Yeah, it's nothing different. Just trying to see if there's anything I can do for any kind of measurements, but even if I did put in a Fibonacci retracement here, there we go, retracement. You can see that we already did pull back about 50%. So maybe that was all we were getting off this divergence. We might get a little bit more, maybe filling this gap at 16,505, but that's about all I expect out of this before we continue to push downwards. Going into a 60-minute time frame, see if anything changes. Oh, you can see there's a really good supply zone at that level. Basically, you've got drop, base, and drop 16,508.75 to 16,576. So that's what I would expect. If we do push back up, expect a little bit of a turning there. If we get to push a little bit higher, I don't see it happening, but there is another supply zone right above 16,641 to 16,662. So one of those two areas is likely to continue the move to the downside. That would be your entry for the short. We can even drop all the way down to the 15-minute time frame and maybe fine tune. Even if we can't close the gap, man, there's just nothing but supply overhead. Rally base drop right there, 16,417, 16,456. So seeing lots of potential entry points for shorts. First target on this 15-minute would be here, 16,171, before we expect a big drop into the 15,000s. When we're doing analysis on the Nifty, one of the other things we can also do is take a look to see who are the big leaders in the Nifty and where are they possibly going. So you can bring it up on a lot of different websites. I just happen to use this one. You can see, obviously, Reliance is the biggest weight. It is almost 11% weightage when it comes to the Nifty. So if we take a look at Reliance, and I should probably go over to stocks because that's what it is. There we go, Reliance Industries on the NSE. We can see that the charts are very similar, and they usually will be. I've done analysis on this stock before. Going to the big picture, you can see this has been in a decline for quite some time. You know, you can actually even compare. It doesn't have it on here, does it? Nope, I was going to try to compare it. Let's see, maybe it does. There we go. Nifty. On the index, Nifty 50, there we go. And you can see the two side by side. So They're obviously moving very similar to each other, and therefore, if we see movements on the Reliance chart, we should be seeing that translate into the Nifty as well. As of right now, going into the smaller time frames here, I don't really see anything different than what we saw in the Nifty. As a matter of fact, yeah, I guess we have a drop base, and we started to drop. We haven't actually, I can't consider that to be a supply zone yet. So I don't have anything wonderful as far as good opportunities to enter, any shorts. On the daily chart, we do still have a little bit of supply here. Reliance rally base drop at, oops, that's showing percentage. I need to change that because of the comparison, or remove it. And now we got the number 2460 to 2504. We were looking all the way down at, well, so I'll do 240, but we were looking down at 1 hour charts. There we go, 1 hour. And drop base drop doesn't really qualify. We don't have enough movement below to confirm. And on the 15-minute, looks like we have rally base drop very close by. So on Sunday or Monday, excuse me, when the markets open up, it looks like we're going to run into a lot of downward pressure on Reliance anyway. Number 2 is HDFC Bank, so we can take a look at that as well. Again, going over to my stocks. HDFC Bank, there we are. And once again, going out to the big picture, the daily, this is pretty much dropped off a cliff, so that's obviously not going to help unless there's any sort of demand anywhere nearby. Going into a smaller time or the higher time frame, you can see we have lots of room to go down until we reach demand on HDFC, which happens to be way down here at 11.99 to 11.76. So basically a nice move down to 1200. We're talking about 136 points on HDFC Bank and nothing else to hold it up. Infosys, here we are. It's the number 3 stock. This just gives you an idea of what's going on. Infosys is a little bit sideways. It's consolidating, but we entered the consolidation by via downward move. And typically, when you consolidate, you usually break in the same direction you entered it. So this downward move after the consolidation resolves itself, we should continue to move to the downside. As far as any demand, well, there's demand, but it's pretty far down. So we have the possibility of dropping quite a bit here on Infosys all the way down from that 1700 all the way down to 1557, honestly. So I'm not seeing anything else to really hold us up. And you can see that's really a descending triangle. And then finally, we have ICICI as our number 4. ICICI Bank. And obviously very, very weak. On the daily chart, we're coming into an area that's been tested multiple times. Looks as though we're getting ready to drop, and we do not have any demand zones nearby. Nearest demand is much lower here at 601.95. So we're likely to move from that 688 all the way down to 601, and nothing's really there to hold us up. Now, the next index is the Bank Nifty that I usually look at. So there we are, Nifty Bank. I'll start off on the big picture weekly. And what happened there? Oh, there it is. Nope, didn't do it. Go back to the Bank Nifty. And again, 1 week. There we are, weekly chart. So a weekly chart, looks like I got daily demand down below, but nothing as far as weekly. We are in a downtrend, lower highs, lower lows. Let's start with a clean chart once again. And we were forming these, well, we're about to make a lower low. We haven't yet, but we will. And the reason why I say that is, well, we have the lower high, and this high could not get above 60. So lots of weakness, and we're likely to see that move to new lows. As far as the demand, this is not very strong. We could try to argue that we've got demand here that might hold us up, but I would argue it's not very powerful. We had rally, base, base, rally, new high, but we couldn't break out of prior highs. So it's a very weak area. Demand might give us a little bit of a bounce before we continue to go lower. Ultimately, if we become extremely bearish, we're going down to 24,809. That's really where we could go on this weekly chart. Dropping down to the daily time frame. Don't have any great zones right nearby. Again, lots of selling pressure, but no good zones. As far as any kind of demand that might hold us up as we are dropping very quickly, well, we take a look back and nothing there. We set that weekly zone. And this has all been tested. Right in here. You can see it's already been tested. So it might be a little bit of a bouncing point, but really we've got nothing to hold us up until that 24,809 area. That's kind of scary. We drop down to the 4-hour time frame. Again, looking to see if there's any entry points for any supply. And again, this is very, very choppy. There's nothing there. So I'm not seeing any great entry points. And nothing really stands out as good demand to hold us up. I would say our first bouncing point that we were looking at may be right here at 32,318 to 32,123. That's the first level demand drop, base, and rally, which kind of stalled from the previous high. So it's not the best area of demand, but that's something that we might look for downside target as we are currently breaking down. So the question is, where do you get in? So we're still looking for a good supply zone to enter, and I just don't have anything. We might have missed this little drop, base, drop. Tested already on Friday, but I don't really have anything else. Now the next would be the open gap, rally, base, 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 drop. That's it. If I can get short at 36,039, 36,270, you would want to target the 32,318 area. And that's what I'm seeing on the Bank Nifty. I can go all the way down to the 15-minute and see if there's other entry points that might occur. And there are. You know, as we open up on Sunday or Monday on these futures and trading going into these, you got a little bit of supply right here. Rally, base, base, drop at 34,936, 35,097 may offer a sooner entry. And again, the target is going to be 32,318. So if you got any questions, let me know. If you like the video, please hit like and subscribe to let me know you like the video. And hopefully I'll see you again very, very soon. Until next time, everyone, trade safe, trade well, and take care.